how did you get involved in The Godfather? How did that come across your world?
I did a picture called The Rain People, which was a very kind of art house film that Coppola did when I was 28, so he's a little older than me, like a year or so. And I played a football player out of Hofstra, where I actually went for Howdy Myers was the coach. So we worked together. We were on the road for like 2 or 3 months doing that, and got along very well. And I don't know, we just stayed friends. And when he got this, he came to me right away. And then, of course, Paramount got involved. I mean, yeah. And then he had this cast in his head, and we went up to San Francisco with Bobby Duvall, with this kid named Al Pacino, and Brando, and it's for a corned beef sandwich, we just read around, played around some improvised scenes and whatever, just kid around up there at San Francisco, and anyway, that was that. Then he went in. The picture got greenlit. He went to New York to scout locations, etc., and then he called me one night and said, "Jimmy," I said, "What?" He says, "They want you to come in and test." I said, "Test what? You got a Porsche you want me to drive around the block? What are you talking about?" So he says, "No, they want you to play Michael." I said, "What?" It's just, and I know Francis so well, you know what I mean? It's just, and the success of that movie, this is a little added thing.
Yes.
That goes to your question. You get charged a little extra because of this information.
Okay, sir.
That the success of The Godfather, partially, I mean, is the fact that Francis, and this is what I told Paramount before Francis was involved, that he's a Mediterranean Italian. He's not a Brooklyn Italian. In other words, his dad was lead flautist for Toscanini, and I mean he grew up with music, and his boys at the time, they knew the cutting room when they were 3-4 years old. They were in a film room, and so everything was music and art and this and that, and there was none of these dims and those. And I think because it became such a family-oriented film, I mean, it was the people you were concerned with more than you were the horses, shall we say.
So you were originally, James, slated to play Sonny from the beginning, and then they call up. And
when he called me, Francis wanted me to play Sonny.
Right, and so then now
now I came in to New York.
Right.
He said, "Come on in," and there must have been 400 or 500 guys lining the walls of this big studio on 59th or 7th. I couldn't remember. With every stupid accent you ever heard in your life. I mean, what are they doing here? Australian accents. I mean, just every actor you could think of was there. Everybody. And as a matter of fact, they tested me for Michael, and then they tested me. Mario Puzo wrote this book called The Making of the Godfather, and in it he said if Caan had boobs, he'd have played Kay.
Well, you have range, James Caan. There's no question about that. So then how did you wind up finally getting Sonny? Because Pacino read for Michael?
Yeah, because Francis they wanted me, but they wanted me to play the other role, which was completely wrong. And, Francis has his ideas, and that's why he's Francis, know. And Al was something you had to squeeze out, In other words, the character of Michael, you had to get him to that point where he was a leader and a boss and a crime guy, And that's what Al did. And they actually got in fights, sometime because Al had it all pretty well mapped out in his head. And Francis maybe wanted him to move faster. I don't know, but they'd argue a little bit.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.